Hi, my name is Alexandra and I'm a watercolor artist. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to paint a watercolor winter wreath. We are just heading into December, honestly heading towards my favorite time of year. I love just the coziness of Christmas. This is something that you guys will be able to paint. You can use it on its own as decor, or I also love painting wreaths for winter and Christmas that can be used as cards as well. So excited for this, let's get started. For supplies today, I have 2 cups of water, one for clean, one for dirty water, a napkin for drying my paintbrush. For paint today, I'm using Philosophy and Co's Terrain palette. You guys will mostly just need some greens, some blues, maybe a red. Really, with this wreath, you guys can use any colors that you'd like. For paintbrushes, I have Princeton rounds numbers 2 and 6. And lastly, I have a pencil just to draw our guideline for our wreath. So I have my paper ready to go. This first step is optional, but I find it really, really helpful. We are going to draw a circle where our wreath is gonna go. You're welcome to freehand it. I am gonna use my tape roll as a guideline, but really you can find a cup, anything round. I'm just going on the inside so it's not too wide. Trying to keep my pencil not too dark just so that I can't see it once I start adding the paint colors. So typically when I paint my watercolor wreaths, I really like to have a focal point on my wreath. Sorry. So for this one specifically, I'm gonna off-center it right here. I've done a lot of wreaths with flowers as my focal point because I want to go for a really wintry feel for this one. We are going to do some watercolor pine cones. So we are actually gonna start with those and then we're gonna build out from that in a few different layers. So I'm gonna start with my brush. I'm going into, I don't have one in this palette, so I just added a brown paint to my mix. And just starting with it nice and watered down. I can go in and paint, and I'm essentially going to paint sort of little half circles around each other, building their way out. We'll add some more shading as we go. So this one kind of looks like the top of it is facing towards us, and then we'll do one that's facing out. So for the one that's facing out, I'm going to start with a little kind of triangle half circle shape here, and then I'm just going to work my way out and keep curving those around each other, filling in the shape. For this tutorial specifically, we don't need it too detailed, but I do have a full tutorial on how to paint watercolor pine cones. So if you want to do a bigger, more detailed version, then definitely feel free to check that out. And just for balance, I'm actually going to add a third one that's smaller, facing a slightly different direction, being really loose with my lines to get that nice pine cone shape. So now that we've done that, I'm going to switch to my bigger brush, and we are just going to start working our way around. I'm looking at my pencil and I drew it a little bit dark, and I'm worried that some of the leaves are gonna have the pencil showing through. So what I'm going to do is just go around with my eraser so that the pencil line is almost invisible, but I can see it just enough to use it as my guide. So we'll get that off. Okay, so we are good to go with our baseline there. Because I want to go for a really cool wintry look, I'm going to start with some blue paint mixed with just a touch of green, and we're gonna paint a eucalyptus leaf all the way coming around. I might add a touch of brown to it actually just to tone it down a bit. And I'm gonna start by going on my left side here. So for my eucalyptus leaves, this is just the base of my wreath. So the key for this is it can be really messy. We are just painting circles that sort of stem around that center circle that we have. So out the other side, I'll do some really messy circles that have that imaginary line in the center. And I want to do this working around my wreath. So I can do some clusters of 3. I can do maybe a longer one that kind of goes into my wreath here and out towards my outside line. And then I might just have one more little cluster of 3 here. So now that I've done that, I'm going to switch to my small brush and I'm going to paint a really, really faint, skinny line attaching my leaves. And I sort of have this line following that drawn pencil line of mine. And this just gives a nice guide for where our leaves are going to go. So now that I have kind of a base, very light layer, we're going to add a little bit more to our base, and we're going to do some dried grass. So I'm going to go into this yellow color that I have. It's a little too cool, so I'll add a touch of orange into it, touch of my brown, just so I can tone it down. You guys can use any color for this. I just want to add some warmth into my painting here. So now that I've done that, I'm using my bigger brush. The tip comes to a really nice point here, so I don't mind, but if you guys want to use your smaller brush, feel free. We're going to follow this exact same line, and I am just doing really faint strokes coming out that are almost feather-like. Because this is the base layer, they can be very loose, very messy. We're going to be adding on top. You guys will notice that opposite to this base that I have here, I'm leaving another gap at the top here. For my wreath specifically, I'm going to have it sort of attach with sticks in the middle rather than leaves. But if you would like to bring it all the way around, you are more than welcome to. So I'll add another one of the feathers kind of around my pine cones here. So right away it's looking more full, but everything is really light right now. So now we're going to go in and make it a lot more detailed. We'll make it stand out quite a bit more. We are going to add some pine branches. So I'm going to mix myself. I'm going to go into my blue here. I'm going to mix it on my palette with a little bit of brown and then add some green to that and get a really nice cool winter green. Make sure it's not too dark. And now with my small brush, same thing, always working from the center point, we're gonna spread out our branches all the way around. So I can choose wherever I want to start with. I'm gonna start sticking outside of these pine cones. I have my really nice skinny line, and then I am just feathering out really, really skinny lines on either side. I'm using my number 2 brush. If you guys want to switch to something smaller for this, if that feels easier, then definitely feel free. So again, staggering, I can paint right over top of those leaves and feather grasses that I've already painted, giving some of my branches a bit more of a curved line coming out from that center circle. You guys will notice as you add things to this, it comes together so quickly just by that contrast and that really, really bold green. Right away, it'll start to come to life. So now same thing on this side. I might do Just a little branch sticking out from behind my pine cones. Being really intentional with these pine branches to not have the lines super uniform, but to have them slightly staggered. So just continuing to work my way around. All right, now that I've done that, I want to make this slightly more cohesive. So to do that, we are gonna add in a nice dark brown. We're gonna add some branches weaving through, as well as make our pine cones stand out more. So going back into my brown, making it nice and dark on my palette for me here. I'll start with my pine cones. So where I've painted already, I'm just going to add some dark paint on top, still letting the lighter paint show through. But I'll make my shapes stand out more. And now that I've done that, I can go in and start adding some branches. For more of a modern and kind of whimsical look, I like having sort of some loose branches. Starting from the top, I'm just going to paint in some wavy branches coming through, and we'll have them on both sides so that we can kind of connect our wreath here. And now that I've done that, I'm going to continue with my branches. I am just weaving them through the entirety of my wreath. And I'm just working my way around. As you can see, I'm leaving some spaces intentionally just so that I can fill it in with some more elements later. Just continuing to add. Right away you can tell that this gives it so much more of a cohesive look and ties in with the pine cones so much better. So as you can see, it really fills in the painting. Right away it's coming to life, but I definitely still want to add in some more elements. So we are going to go in now with our larger paintbrush, and we're going to add in some leaves to really fill this out. So I'm going into my green here, and I'm going to be painting just a very basic leaf all the way around, mixing it to sort of a creamy consistency. And now I'm going to put the tip of my paintbrush onto my paper, and I'm pulling back into kind of a C-curve shape. This is a leaf that I do very, very often in a lot of my tutorials. So if you guys are curious about this, I do have some full tutorials on how to paint watercolor leaves. But same thing as with all of the other elements that we have been doing with our wreath, is we are just working our way all the way around. I'm going for a very loose and delicate look with my leaves here. And like with some of my other elements, I don't mind if I'm painting directly over top of those base layers. The idea is that it's going to give it a really nice and full look. Now at this point, you guys can just have fun, add as many or as few leaves as you want. I kind of look for the gaps, so I'm still going to fill some in at this top section here. And now I might add one more in this corner as well. And then I think I have a couple more gaps to fill, and then we'll be nearly ready to move on to our next step. So now that I'm happy with how the leaves look, I'm gonna go back in with my small paintbrush, and I want to give this a really fun wintry feel. So we're gonna go in and add some blue berries. So I'm mixing some of my blue shadow paint here, and with my tiny brush, I'm going to sort of between a creamy and a paste consistency, testing it on my napkin to make sure I'm happy with the color. And then I'm gonna go in and just paint little clusters of dots. This part you guys really don't need to be too particular with. You can cluster them wherever. I'm gonna do some maybe of 3 together, some of 2, and just spread them throughout the entirety of my wreath. This is something too that if you guys wanted to do in a different color, you totally could. Same concept as before. I'm working my way around the wreath just to make sure that I have a nice and balanced effect. Just add a few more at the bottom here. Now at this point, I am happy with how it looks. I definitely could keep going. I'll add maybe a couple more on the inside there. One of the hardest things is knowing where to stop with adding stuff like this, but once I feel that it is full and nice and balanced, then at that point I can stop with my berries. And now I'm honestly really happy with how my wreath is looking. At this point, I think I will leave it as is. Again, if you guys are painting this yourselves, then feel free to keep going, add different colors, different elements. The key to painting a really beautiful looking wreath is that you just make sure that all of the elements are nice and balanced together. Thanks for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed painting along with me. I have plenty of other wreath tutorials, so please do feel free to check them out and follow along. If there's anything specific that you guys would like to paint, leave a comment below. Also, if you did follow along, take a picture, tag me on Instagram at Alexandra Victoria Studio. I would love to see what you guys are painting. Lastly, if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss anything else that's coming. We'll see you next time.